beefing down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. Not to say that we won't respect.
The boxing world has been buzzing with controversy following the highly anticipated clash between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach, a fight that ended in a draw and left fans, analysts, and fighters questioning the integrity of the sport. As of March 19, 2025, the aftermath of this bout continues to ripple through discussions, with opinions flying from every corner of the boxing community. Prominent sports analyst Stephen A. Smith did not hold back when he slammed Davis over rigging allegations, pointing to questionable judging and calling for a rematch to settle the score. He argued that while debates over the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world are fair, there is no denying Davis's status as the most exciting and biggest box office draw in boxing today. His charisma and knockout power have made him a must-watch, but this fight has cast a shadow over his reputation. Smith also touched on Frank Martin, a talented fighter who suffered a devastating loss to Davis in the past. While Martin's potential remains undeniable, that defeat has permanently altered how fans perceive him. Respect isn't the issue. It's the lingering image of defeat that sticks. Davis's ability to dismantle opponents is part of what makes him such a phenomenon. Yet this latest fight has shifted the conversation from his dominance to the fairness of the outcome. Smith suggested that the next logical step for Davis would be a showdown with Shakur Stevenson, a fighter with the skill and power to truly test him. He argued that Stevenson poses a greater challenge than Devin Haney, who struggles to take punches. The idea of Davis facing an opponent who could put him on the canvas adds an extra layer of intrigue to his future matchups. Meanwhile, Coach Bernie offered his perspective, criticizing Davis's performance against Roach, noting that he didn't fight instead of fighting like a champion defending his title, Roach displayed more urgency and heart, while Davis seemed content to coast through the rounds. For someone with Davis's reputation, Bernie argued, the fight should have ended with a definitive statement, not doubts about his effort. He observed that both fighters spent too much time staring at each other, with Davis eventually throwing the first punch to retain his title. However, Roach appeared satisfied just to be there rather than seizing the moment to take the belt. In the final seconds of the last round, Roach's inactivity, failing to throw punches and getting caught with a jab, underscored Bernie's point. A champion, he insisted, can't afford to let a fight close like that, especially against an opponent of Davis's caliber. The lack of aggression or even basic movement baffled many. Standing still for 20 seconds in a fight, Bernie argued, simply doesn't make sense. Joe Rogan, another vocal figure, took issue with the rules applied in the Davis-Roach bout, suggesting they were crafted more by lawyers than boxing officials, seemingly designed to protect Davis. He praised Roach's skill, admitting he was genuinely impressed by his performance against a fighter as ferocious as Davis. Tank's power at 135 lbs is unmatched. His ability to generate torque and deliver devastating uppercuts sets him apart. Yet Roach not only survived, but also landed significant shots and, in Rogan's view, did enough to earn a draw. The controversy hinges on a key moment, Davis taking a knee, which many, including Rogan, believe should have been ruled a knockdown. Had it been counted, Roach would have won. Rogan found it absurd that a rule allowing a fighter to be knocked down, given 2 minutes to recover, and then potentially knock out their opponent to force a draw even exists, let alone that it hasn't been used. He speculated that an announcement regarding the knockdown decision might have been imminent, emphasizing that Roach's effort deserved a rematch. The reaction from professional boxers and analysts was swift and fierce, with many labeling the outcome of the Davis-Roach fight has been labeled one of the most controversial in recent memory. The debate over whether Davis truly earned the draw or if Roach was outright robbed has only intensified. Fighters like Ryan Garcia have been vocal, asserting that Roach clearly won and calling the failure to count Davis's knee as a knockdown, the most wild thing he's ever seen in boxing. Terrence Crawford echoed this sentiment, tweeting that Roach was robbed and arguing that the knee should have been ruled a knockdown. He cited Floyd Mayweather's fight against Carlos Hernandez as precedent, noting that when Mayweather took a knee due to an injury, it was counted against him. Shakur Stevenson also weighed in, not only questioning the decision, but expressing willingness to fight Roach, showing respect for his performance. Meanwhile, referee Steve Willis, when questioned about his decision to rule the fight a draw and not count the knee, offered no explanation and simply refused to comment. His silence has fueled speculation of favoritism, with many fans and analysts wondering if Davis's star power influenced the call. Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp, reviewing the fight, firmly believed Roach did enough to win. While they acknowledged Davis's powerful, clean shots, they argued that Roach's resilience and sharper counters should have tipped the scales in his favor. The knee incident became a focal point for boxing experts, who compared it to historical cases where voluntary knees were counted as knockdowns, such as Mayweather versus Hernandez, Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarito, and Chris Algieri versus Ruslan Provodnikov. During studio discussions, analysts pointed out that Willis initially began counting when Davis took a knee, only to stop abruptly, a move that defied precedent and logic. Veteran referee Jack Rice emphasized that while referees have discretion, consistency in applying rules is non-negotiable. He suggested that failing to count the knee might have violated standard regulations, further muddying the waters. Baz Ennis, a seasoned boxing figure, highlighted the unusual nature of Willis starting and then halting the count, raising suspicions about his actions. He acknowledged Davis's influence as a major draw and hinted that it might have played a role in the decision. Paulie Malignaggi, offering a more nuanced take, argued that while a draw wasn't the worst outcome, it wasn't the correct one either. Had the knee been ruled a knockdown, he calculated that Roach would have edged out a 1-point victory on 2 scorecards. Malignaggi also referenced Mayweather's counted knee against Hernandez, underscoring the inconsistency in the application of the rules. Davis's trainer, however, defended his fighter, insisting the knee wasn't a mistake and shouldn't have been considered a knockdown. He claimed Tank remained in control throughout the fight. Critics dismissed this as an attempt to downplay what many saw as a pivotal error. Boxing journalist Kevin Iole zeroed in on the 9th round, calling the referee's handling of the knee the fight's defining moment. While he conceded that the bout was close, scoring at 115-113 in favor of Roach, he noted that the early rounds were slow with little action, making the later exchanges and the knee incident decisive. Roach, a 16-1 underdog moving up from super featherweight, went toe-to-toe with Davis and never appeared hurt despite Tank's superior power. Iole found it particularly telling that Davis got buzzed multiple times while Roach stood firm, making the referee's call even more consequential. Meanwhile, fans erupted in outrage, flooding social media with accusations of favoritism and cries of robbery. Analyst Benny W. tweeted that ignoring the knee in the official scoring was indefensible from a boxer's perspective. George Kambosos Jr. insisted that taking a knee without it being ruled a knockdown isn't how professional boxing works. He recounted his own battles, fighting through blood and adversity without pausing, and argued that Davis's excuse, hair product dripping into his eyes, did not justify the break. The fallout has left the boxing community divided yet united in demanding clarity. Davis remains the sport's biggest attraction, his one-punch knockout ability unrivaled, but this fight has dented his aura of invincibility. Roach, meanwhile, has earned widespread respect, proving he belongs among the OAA. Elite calls for a rematch are growing louder, with many believing it's the only way to resolve the lingering questions. The rules, the referee's discretion, and the influence of a star like Davis have all come under scrutiny, threatening the sport's credibility. As analysts like Smith, Rogan, and Malignaggi dissect every angle, and fighters like Crawford and Garcia weigh in, the consensus is clear. Roach deserved better, whether through an outright victory, or at least a fair and consistent application of the rules. For now, the draw stands, but the controversy ensures this fight will be debated for years to come, a testament to both its competitiveness and the flaws it exposed in boxing's judging system.